All right, let's talk about something that's a direct attack on overthinking. I mean, forget all the motivational quotes, forget the one-day-all fantasies. What we're diving into here is a real practical playbook for turning your ideas into something real. And you can start this weekend, seriously. So let's kick things off with one simple question. So let's just get right to it. Why do most new ventures, most of those great ideas we all have, why do they never actually see the light of day? Is it a lack of talent? A bad idea? Not enough money? We think it's all these big, complicated things, but the real answer, it's much, much simpler than that. And there it is. That's the punchline. The single biggest reason for failure isn't some big market crash or terrible product. It's just inaction. It's the endless waiting, the overthinking, that cycle of learning and learning and learning, but never doing. And that is the core problem we're going to take apart today. Now, this inaction, it actually has a name. It's called the preparation trap. And you probably know exactly what this feels like. It's that comfortable, kind of cozy place where you're constantly researching and planning and learning, but you never actually launch anything. It feels productive, right? But really, it's just a form of hiding. And who gets stuck here? Well, just about everyone with an idea. It's the aspiring entrepreneur, the creator, the student, the freelancer. Really, it's anyone who's waiting for that mythical, perfect moment to finally arrive. It's like you're sitting in a glass box of your own making, just watching the world go by. The good news? We're about to give you the tools to shatter that glass. So here's the mindset shift that changes everything. You have to stop waiting for someone to give you permission. Stop waiting until you magically feel ready. The only thing you truly, truly need is proof. That's it. Just proof that someone, somewhere out there, is actually willing to pay for what you have to offer. Okay, so let's tackle the first big myth that keeps people trapped, and that's the belief in the perfect plan. You know the one. It's that idea that you need this whole polished business infrastructure before you can even think about talking to a single customer. We all do this, right? We build these massive checklists in our minds. We think we need the perfect website, a huge social media following, a brilliant logo, and a boatload of funding before we can even start. But that whole checklist, it's really just a foundation made of delay, not a foundation for success. And this is the solution. We have to completely flip the conventional wisdom on its head. For decades, the old way was you build something in a cave for months, maybe even years, and then you come out and just hope someone wants to buy it. The new, much smarter way? Sell it first. Get a commitment, get a pre-order, get validation, and then you go build it. Because let's be totally honest with ourselves. Until someone is willing to pull out their wallet and pay you for it, your idea isn't a business, it's a fantasy. And fantasies, well, they don't pay the bills. Validation is the bright line that separates a hobby from an actual enterprise. All right, let's move on to the next myth. And this one is a huge one. It's a massive psychological barrier for so many of us. It's that feeling deep down that you need to feel confident, that you need to feel ready before you're allowed to take action. But the reality is the exact opposite of that myth. You don't wait for confidence to magically appear so you can act. You act, even if it's small, messy, imperfect action, and that is what creates real, genuine confidence. Confidence isn't a prerequisite, it's a result. So that little voice in your head saying, "I'm not ready yet," let's just call it what it really is. It's procrastination wearing a clever disguise. It's a really comfortable excuse that keeps you safe from ever having to test your idea out in the real world. So, what's the antidote? It's the weekend challenge. And look, forget about building a perfect company in 2 days. That's not the point. The goal is much simpler. It's to prove that your fear is a liar. Can you just reach out to a few people, pitch your idea, even if it's messy, get some honest feedback? The whole entire focus is on one single powerful goal, making that very first dollar. This brings us to the last, and maybe the most powerful myth we need to absolutely demolish: the fear of hearing no. We are all conditioned from a young age to see rejection as the end of the road, as a sign of personal failure. But what if we just reframed it? What if rejection wasn't failure at all? What if instead it was actually gold-plated data? See, every single no is a valuable piece of market research that tells you exactly what your customers are thinking and what they truly value. When someone tells you no, they're not putting up a wall. They're handing you a compass. They're giving you this priceless information that literally points the way forward. A no can show you that maybe your offer is confusing or your price is just off, or maybe you're trying to solve a problem that people don't actually care about. This isn't failure, it's a roadmap to a better offer. So the whole game changes when you realize this. Successful entrepreneurs have a totally different relationship with the word no. They don't run away from it. They actively seek it out. They collect rejections because they know it's the fastest possible path to clarity. Okay, so we've busted the myths. What's the new playbook then? It's actually really simple. It's all about prioritizing action and understanding that momentum will always, and I mean always, beat perfection. So where do we start? First, we have to stop asking ourselves these huge, overwhelming questions that just lead to paralysis. Questions like, how do I build a $1 million company? I mean, a question that big, it makes it impossible to even know where to begin. So most of the time, we don't. Instead, we need to ask a much better, smaller, and more focused question. Just ask yourself this: what is something I can sell this weekend? That question just murders excuses. It forces you to think about what's immediately possible, and it's the tiny spark that builds real momentum. And as you figure out what to sell this weekend, just remember this one thing. People do not buy complicated ideas. They buy clear, simple offers that solve a real problem for them. So, focus on the benefits, simplify your pitch, and make it incredibly easy for someone to say yes. And ultimately, it all comes down to this single dollar. Making your very first dollar is the most important milestone you will ever hit, because it's the only permission slip you ever actually need. It's tangible proof that you created value for another human being. It absolutely changes everything. And that just leaves us with one final question. A question for you. We've laid out the myths, we've laid out the new playbook. The only thing left now is for you to decide. Will you finally stop hiding behind preparation? Will you stop just learning and actually start doing? Because your future really does begin the moment you take that first, small, imperfect action.